right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back once again to the strategy session here on Lincoln Square. I am your host, as always, Rick Wilson. Before we get going, everybody, could you do me a big favor? Whatever app you're listening to this on or watching this on, do me a favor and click that subscribe button, click that bell button. We're trying to get that algorithm to notice this content, and it takes a lot. It takes all of us, and you guys can really help us grow this show if you'll just do that and share the content with your friends and your family, especially the MAGA friends and family, because even hate watching is still watching. So, Joe, welcome back. Thank you, brother. Good to see you tonight.
Yeah, great to be with you, man.
I want to start out. With last night in Madison Square Garden, because I think everybody saw two things last night: an example of everything Trump touches dies,
absolutely,
and how New Yorkers really feel about Donald Trump. Let's roll that clip.
Whose brush stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights where the
I thought it was amazing and really good.
Yeah, he thought it was amazing and really good. Let's do we have that? Do we have that other clip of him saying how great it
What
was?
did you think of the reception you got from the Knicks fans tonight?
I thought it great. I mean, I thought it was amazing, actually. You mean when they had the camera on me? I thought it was very good. Yeah, it was certainly amazing. It was. I think mostly cheers. It was loud and it was very enthusiastic.
Mr. President.
With hate.
I think he needs a hearing aid, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
Really, of all the other physical maladies, I think he's deaf too. Because, folks, if you've never been to either a Knicks game or a Yankees game, there is no crowd in this country will tell you how they feel about you faster than those two audiences. And we could always tell how Giuliani was doing when I worked for him by how people would treat us at the Yankee games. Yeah. Sometimes we'd be like, "Yay!" Other times we'd be like, "Fuck you, Rudy." So Trump got that full blast last night, I think, and not the greatest look in the world. So
no, but you're right. Everything he touches dies, and the Knicks were on their way to like sweep, and of course,
right. And
he is,
and there it is. So. But yeah, everything Trump touches dies, folks. The Knicks, I know you guys thought there was some benefit to this, but now where are you? So, Joe, we're speaking of more consequential matters. We are now on definite, positively going to have a peace deal with Iran, number 37. As of today, Trump's like, it's any minute now. It's around the corner. I mean, I find this. Joe, how much longer are the markets going to buy this garbage from?
Well, they can't buy it for much longer because we're literally just a few weeks to maybe a month away from the reserves being,
June 27th is the date I'm hearing.
Yeah. And there's just at some point, all the stuff that they're doing to, dumping reserves, et cetera, trying to keep the price as low as they can keep it. And it's still over $4, but they're out of that. They're going to run out of room there within a few weeks. I mean, like you said, if it's towards the end of June, you're talking days away, 15, 16 days away until the supply is just gone. The ships are all empty, and the barrel price is going to go up like a hockey stick at that point, and so will gas prices and everything else, aluminum.
And don't you think Iran has every motivation in the world to delay past that point, to break?
Well, yeah, I mean, and this, the guys that were negotiating with the Taliban in Afghanistan, they kept going into the meetings talking about how we had all these weapons and all these people, and we were going to come in, and they would say, yeah, and you've got all those weapons and you have all those people, and we have time. That's what we have. We have time. And that's what's been going on in Iran from the minute he launched this thing. And I think the reality is, they're looking over there, they're looking at their watch, and they're going like, gosh, I think we could hold out for 2 or 3 more weeks. Yeah. Maybe. By the way, when is that November election in the United States? we can hold back often. So it was never, he's just never dealt with the reality of what he created in the mess. And, now you have the chopper that was shot down by the Iranians, and Trump is saying, well, now I've got to respond. We have to respond. So I don't see how, there's not, again, we're just around the corner, but we're about to attack them again.
Any second
it doesn't,
now.
nothing. It makes no sense.
Nothing
clip. About it's made sense. But
let's play this clip from Vance, who also has a different timeline than Donald Trump does even.
Say very close. How soon could the deal happen before the midterm elections?
Oh, absolutely. No, I think we're going to know a lot before the midterm elections. Look, I think that the deal could happen in the next week, but the deal could also happen months from now.
Are the Iranians stringing President Trump along in your view?
No, I don't think so. Again, I think their system takes a long time to reach consensus.
Oh, I think they've reached a consensus about Donald Trump. I think they know exactly what they're doing about Donald Trump.
Yeah, they're just going to wait him out. I mean, they've decided that a long time ago. And, Bibi's not cooperating. The Iranians have a decision point too. And Trump never had any control over this.
No. And I think, Joe, one of the things that Trump keeps saying, the Iranians military has been decimated. They're firing missiles into Israel tonight. They're firing missiles into Kuwait this week. They're firing missiles at American forces in the Gulf this week. This war is still going on, no matter whether Donald Trump thinks it's over or not.
And his own intelligence agencies are telling him that they still have 50-60% of their capacity or whatever.
That's what blows my mind. That's what blows my mind. Well, I want to jump to the next thing on our agenda tonight. We've got a primary night tonight in Maine, Nevada, South Carolina, and North Dakota. Polls are closing 7 or 8 p.m. on the East Coast at 10 p.m. East Coast time in Nevada. And I want to talk to you for a minute, Joe, about what everybody else has been sort of obsessed about this week, and that's Plattner in Maine. There's been a big, fat Republican oppo drop on him. I know the woman who dropped the oppo on him. She is an operative and an activist and an insider. And anytime you get oppo dropped from the woman who ran Ladies for Kavanaugh, you ought to take it with a grain of salt. I'm not sure how many people know that, but Ladies for Kavanaugh was her last big assignment. So let's not pretend this isn't something, engineered. I'm sure he's made mistakes. I'm sure he's, as I've said,
he admits
Graham Plattner may well be
can.
an asshole,
Yeah.
but I know Graham Plattner will not vote for Susan Collins or will not vote for Donald Trump's judicial appointments. So tell me where you see that standing. I mean, is Plattner going to survive this? It feels like he will.
Of course he will. I mean, I think voters. I don't think anything's going to happen in the election in Maine today to stop him from being the nominee. He'll be the nominee,
right?
And then it's going to be, look, right now, until today, you can do this dump and you can try to make it a referendum about Plattner. But in November, it will be a referendum about Trump and Collins and enabling and her concerns that never.
Oh, yes. Her pearl clutching concerns that she deeply, deeply feels every time she then proceeds to vote for Donald Trump.
And yes, people, I think I saw some woman voter, because they were talking about how women are going to desert him and all that stuff. And the woman said, look, I'll vote for a doorknob before I vote for Susan Collins. And, and so, look, some of it may be that people, begrudgingly voting for him. Voting against Collins through him. But I think people want change. And that's why he's there in the first place. I mean, the whole reason he rose is because he represents something that's not the same old, which both, unfortunately for Governor Mills, that's what
been more of the same old.
But that's what the basically people in Maine said, no, we want to do something different. We don't want to do the same stuff, which means they're not going to be looking at Susan Collins going, oh, there's breath of fresh air. She's newly concerned. I'm going to fall for that. No, I don't think any of that's going to happen. So I think, look, it's not going to be easy and it's going to be knockdown, drag out. But I think, that's why you have these elections, and that's why I think whatever you even look at Cornyn and Paxton. Paxton was changed, not Cornyn. I mean, regardless, forget about who Trump was with. People are, and now Paxton's now the old shoe.
Right, Paxton's now the past. And
So I just think you cannot, like the hand wringing and the people now going out and what a mistake. Come on, man. And
some of it, let's be real, some of it's coming from the Democratic Senate Committee, who still are angry that he stayed in the race when they told him to get out, and they're going to do everything they can to sort of maintain their idea that they control the Senate candidates this year, and Plattner clearly proves that they do not.
Well, they're also maintaining the idea that clearly they have in their heads that there's nothing really different or special about this election. It's not an existential threat that we have to shut down and stop Trump at all costs, no matter what. No, that's not where they're at. They still think that you can go, I guess, maybe they can Schumer can walk across the aisle and cut some deal for some votes. Those days are done, man.
No,
that's what people are sick of.
I was talking to Turek today out of Iowa, who is incredibly impressive. All the Iowa slate across the board, the congressional races, Rob Sand. And I heard in him today what I heard in Rob Sand, what I heard in Tallarico, what I hear in Plattner. They are connecting with working class Americans who are under the economic gun. And I think that is going to overcome an awful lot of oppo drops in the coming months.
Yeah, no, when I did on the ground shows in Iowa with Turek and Sand and everybody, we had great candidates out, and they are connecting with working class voters. I mean, just true, and they're going all over the. I mean, Sand has been 100 town halls, doing another 100. I think he's going around on his second one. Turek's been wheeling that chair up to your door and knocking on it, and they are connecting. And I just did some on the ground shows in Texas that we're about to drop next week.
Nice.
And the same thing, Tallarico is connecting in a way, and
Toledo connecting in Florida. Our buddy David Jolly is in Florida, folks, and David is going to every possible kind of community you can imagine, whether it's a black church or a white rodeo on the weekend, or a barbecue or a fish fry. He is everywhere all the time, and people want you to come and meet them where they are. They want to connect with them.
Yeah, and so I think these candidates. I mean, I think first of all, people are. Look, it's really kind of interesting. Everybody was asleep on Iowa.
Yep.
They were essentially asleep on Texas, although that's, with Tallarico got a lot of attention there. They've been asleep on Florida for sure, with both Inman and Jolly.
Yep.
Tough fights, but both are in play. It's possible. But they weren't asleep on Plattner.
No, they were awake on Plattner. They got Plattner right in the face.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's just crazy. It just really is.
I'm sorry, that unified message of talking to working voters, and talking to people who are feeling this economic pressure on every single side, and it just amazes me because none of them are in the woke ditch of stuff that Republicans can easily mock them about. The Republicans don't want to argue about the economy. They want to argue culture wars, and none of them are taking the bait. And I think that is incredibly important.
Yeah, no, look, I think, Plattner just isn't going to be easy for them to do that to. I don't, what, they're going to trans him? I mean, that's not going to work. I mean, I just think, look, people, I've said this, I've been saying this is not going to be a blue wave. Right. This is going to be a change wave. People want to throw the old book out and put new people in, and they don't want the tired old politicians. I mean, they're just sick of it, and that's not what Plattner is. It's not what I mean. And Tallarico certainly isn't. Rob Sand isn't. Turek, no. These are guys that are connecting. And you look at every step of the way. Even like in Alabama, when we had the Doug Jones primary a couple Tuesdays ago, there was 116% increase in Democratic turnout in that primary, doubling from 2022, and the Republicans had a 25% decrease in their turnout from 2022.
Which we've seen in Iowa, we've seen it in Texas, we've seen it everywhere that primaries are happening this year. The Republican turnout numbers are in free fall.
So you look at Maine. I think people are on fire to vote in November on the democracy, the Democratic side, the change wave side. And they're not as on fire to go out to and help reelect Susan Collins, clutching her pearls, being all upset about and concerned, but not doing a damn thing about any of it. So no, I still think Maine is in play, and I do not think that in the end. And by the way, it may not be fair. There may be real problems there, but guess what? Guess what?
Yeah.
I think the way the year is shaping up, people are not gonna. I don't think any of that woke stuff and $100 million, just doing culture wars stuff to Tellerico or Telefrico. He's selling merch. He's selling
He's flipped it on its head and he's selling merch about it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And I think the outside predicates of a change election, as you've talked about a lot, right direction, wrong track polling in this country is so bad. It is. I don't think it's been this bad in our country since Carter, or since 2008, perhaps for a few minutes. But the right direction, wrong track is abysmal. The president's approval numbers are in free fall. They are now approaching the 20s, folks. They're now, we kept saying at 35 will be the bottom. He can't go lower than 35, and now he's creeping below 35. And it's just like all the predicates, all the economic indicators of inflation, prices, polling, all of it is like people want change. They want a reboot, not just shuffling the deck chairs.
And all of it's going to get worse between now and November. I mean, that's the others. I mean, gas prices are not going to go down. They're not. I mean, it's just, and instead you're going to get increases in everything now, because as the reserves, pan out and barrels per barrel costs go up, it's going to dramatically drive up gasoline, but everything else, because it all moves on that energy. And so inflation's going to go. I mean, we could be looking at 4 or 5% inflation by the time we get to election day.
I was told that when that was happening during Joe Biden, it was the greatest crisis our nation had ever faced. And the world was on fire and we were all going to die.
But it'll be amazing, and everybody will be cheering according to the dear leader.
But I think the disconnection, Trump's not going to help the Republican Party at all on this, Joe. He is going to continue to talk about the ballroom and the arch and the reflecting pool and be mad about the Kennedy Center and all those things. He can't stop himself from being that guy when they desperately need him to stop talking about those things.
No, he can't. No, and they can't either. And I keep circling back to this, but it gets to that, you said he's down to 35 approval. And the question that I always go back to is the one where they asked Republicans, do you think ICE has been overdone it? Do you think it's Goldilocks just right? Or do you think they haven't been brutal enough? Mm-hmm. And what you got was about a third of Republicans thought maybe ICE had gone too far.
Yep. And
then you had about a third who said, no, it's Goldilocks. Everything they've done has been perfect. And then you had the 31% exactly that said, damn it, they're not being brutal enough.
Right.
Now, once you got to wonder when you got it down to 35% nationwide, and you're down to like 70-ish% of the Republican Party still approving.
Yeah, the world is not looking like you thought it was going to look this year.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is he somehow now has to get some of those Republicans think things have gone too far. Some of them think he hasn't been tough enough. And so, and this plays out in Iran too. Some of them want him to go finish the job, go in and take the
bounce the rubble.
Yeah. And some of them are like, wait, you told us no more forever wars. So this is my point. There, you can literally see the chasm now in the Republican base itself. And that's why that's why he's down to 35. It goes lower. It's because he's losing even more of what was once a pretty, 85, 90%.
Pretty cohesive
somebody
base
on Fifth Avenue, and he must have had a good reason. That's no longer happening, even in his own party.
Yeah, that's so right. That's so right, Joe. And folks, when you look at independent voters, which Joe and I obsess over independent voters because they really do. They're the decision makers in this world. You look at Florida. The fastest growing party in Florida is not the Republicans and the Democrats. It's independent voters, non-party affiliated voters. Those people around the country on every issue under the sun with Trump are about 2.5 to 3 to 1 against Trump in every issue, whether it's the economy or healthcare or Iran or tariffs or Epstein or any other thing. 2.5 to 3 to 1 ratio against him is fatal to a lot of these candidates because they don't get the celebrity bounce Trump gets.
Well, the other problem they've got is he's pushed away everybody. I mean, he pushed away Latinos with, we can go into all, including attacking the Pope. They're very Catholic.
That's a great play. Always attack the Pope.
Yeah.
The Holy Father, easy target. Nothing ever goes wrong with that with Catholics. Don't worry.
Independents are like 25, 75, 25 approve, 75 disapprove. So that's the problem these guys have because they have to hug him. They don't hug him. Look at Cornyn, et cetera. They don't hug him. They're going to lose. They got problems. If they do hug him now, which they got to do, so just because basically MAGA doesn't vote when he's not in a midterm on the ballot in midterm anyway. So they've got to hang on to him. And the problem with that is he's already pushed everybody away. And if you're going to Susan Collins, she can't hug Trump. I mean, it's just, every one of these Republicans in the Senate and the House are he's put them in a corner, painted himself in there, and they can't get out and they can't leave him. And so that is why I think, this election reminds me a hell of a lot of 1980 in terms of we had, Carter, double-digit inflation, inflation, et cetera, misery index, economy, gas lines, the Iranian hostages that Shah come and
it sounds like history not repeating, but rhyming.
Right. And here's the thing. I went, it was my first year, working in politics and in the presidential campaign, my first one. Mm-hmm. And I remember going, looking at going into election day, and everybody thought there were 3, maybe 4 Democratic U.S. senators who were in trouble. Right. And that night, 12. And they were all giants, by the way. They were like, like giants in the Senate. 12 lost. 8 of them who no one thought the day before were in any kind of, that may have been a close race, but he's going to, and I just have looking at independents in particular, looking at things like the double haters voting 8-2 for Democrats in these states where we're seeing, exit polls for the votes. That's why I say it's not a blue wave. This is going to be that kind of a change wave.
Yeah.
And now that was a presidential year, and Reagan had a lot to do. Reagan was the contrast with Carter. But I think this is a referendum on Trump. It's a disaster for the Republican Party. And I think places like Kansas, Mississippi, you could wake up and we could have a Democratic U.S. senator in a place like Kansas or Mississippi actually happen this cycle, because I think it's going to be that big in terms of just the rejection of everything that Trump and MAGA have become. What's fascinating about this is Plattner toxic, is the Democratic brand toxic. I keep saying, no, there's something more toxic than the Democratic brand, no matter how toxic you think it is. It's MAGA and Trump. It has happened. Independents, double haters, Latinos. How do you get got to make sure that that there's high turnout in the Black community. He does the Voting Rights Act, and they try to erase every Black member of Congress. I mean,
I was speaking to some African American leaders in Florida recently who were like, we may not have the seats anymore, but we have the heat.
Yeah,
because we are furious. They are so that community has been so deliberately disenfranchised by Ron Crow, as one of them called him the other day, by Ron DeSantis. They are really furious, and this was deliberate. It was racial. It was overtly racial, and I think they're going to pay a price for that with African Americans. They're going to come out and vote, because short of Barack Obama being on the ballot, this is probably the most motivated I've seen a lot of African American voters about a political issue that has affected their ability to have representation. They are livid about it. It's really remarkable.
No, it's true. And then you get little things like, Dubuque is a very Catholic area of Iowa, and it's the second district. So we always thought we could win the first and third.
Right.
That happened. Now the second district's in play. And by the way, I think a lot of people I talk to think the other all four are in play. But my point is, it's like there's anybody you could possibly tick off or to affront, and now, and I just think that is a problem. I mean, how does Hinson go? She's from Dubuque. That's her district up there. She vacated it to be the senator.
Right.
Now the district's in play, and she's behind.
Yeah, and she voted, as Turek told me today, she voted for tariffs 4 times. How do you explain that on a statewide basis in the state of Iowa in the year of our Lord 2026? It blows my mind.
No, and now you have Screwworm.
Oh,
I mean,
thanks, Elon.
No, yeah, I mean, so Doge came in, knocks out the eradication, everything that we were doing and stopping it south of the border, and now it's in Texas. And by the way, I was talking to Patrick Schmidt, the U.S. Senate candidate in Kansas, who I think has a real shot if he wins the nomination.
Folks, pay attention to Joe. He's been saying this for 6 months now. Something is happening in the Midwest. Something has broken loose in the Midwest, and it's not that they're crying out for Democrats with the usual stuff on the climate change or whatever it is. They want you to talk about the economy, because they've been screwed.
So Screwworm is like a dagger in the heart of beef farmers.
Yep.
It's hit Texas already. It's now just it's really hard once it gets a hold to eradicate the screwworm.
Terribly so.
It's going to get to Iowa. It's going to get to Kansas. I mean, this is their whole. And by the way, beef they're hanging by a thread now because of tariffs, because of hybrid, hamburgers.
Vertical integration in the beef industry, because of this Argentina deal that Trump put together. The whole thing is. Recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I did not have Screwworm on my bingo card.
No, I did not either. I was actually aware of Screwworm. I knew what it was, But no, thank you, Donald. Well, Joe, thank you so much for coming on, brother. I know you've been traveling, and I know you're probably about as beat down as I am right now.
Yeah.
But folks, thank you for watching the strategy session as always. We love being with you every week, and we will see you again next Tuesday. You can catch Joe on the on a series of you got Texas coming out next on the podcast.
Yep. Starting this week.
Joe is interviewing these candidates out in the field, and there's some of these are great stories. Take a look on Lincoln Square because these are some great stories about people that you might not get to know otherwise, and you'll see how they're running, how they're putting these races together from almost like from behind the curtain. It's terrific stuff. So you can also catch me, folks, at my Substack, Against All Enemies. You can catch me on Fridays on Behind the Numbers with Andrew Wilson, America's only father and son polling show. Also on Fridays, I've got Behind, what's it called? Oh, The Elephant in the Room, where I pull back the curtain every week to talk about something. We're all punchy here, folks. It's only June. We're all punchy. So, but anyway, folks, we'll see you again next week. Thanks so much for watching.